Hey everyone, it's Tim Evanicki. Before we get started with today's podcast, I wanted to share some exciting news with you. Applications are now open for our 2022 College Audition Conservatory. This program features a full week of workshops with college faculty from the top musical theater programs in the country, masterclasses with Broadway stars, and fun evening activities including performance opportunities and trips to Orlando area attractions. There's also a full lineup of parent workshops available for those parents who want to join in the fun. In my professional opinion as a college audition coach, I think this is one of the top college audition prep programs in the country. But don't take my word for it.
The College Audition Conservatory for my son and I have been amazing. For him, it has given him the confidence that he needs to feel like he can go into these auditions and shine. It's given him so much feedback on improvements, things he can do, but also things that he's doing well, which is so hard for them to accept that they do things well at this age. For me as a parent, it's given me a vast amount of knowledge about all the different options that are out there for us and for our children to help them to succeed in such a difficult process. It really is a hard process, and Tim and this faculty and this staff have done such a good job of giving us the information, preparing us and preparing our children. This is a difficult process, and your child is going to be emotional, is going to have opinions, and Tim's process kind of lets you step back and be the parent and not be the driving force behind the process. Tim drives that. He can be kind of the hold them accountable person, and you can just be there for moral support and enjoy the ride a little bit. There's still stuff for you to do, but I do feel like it protects the relationship between the parent and child immensely.
The conservatory is open to all students grades 9 through 12 for the 2022-2023 school year.
Welcome to the College Audition Podcast with your host, nationally renowned college audition coach, Tim Evanicki.
Hey everybody, Tim Evanicki here with the College Audition, back again with another episode of the College Audition Podcast. My special guest today is Kirsten Osbun-Manley, resident artist in music and musical theater at Ohio Northern University. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we always like to get to know the person before the program, so I wanted to start with asking you to tell us a little bit about your background and training that led you up to your time at Ohio Northern.
Sure. I received a vocal performance degree from Bowling Green State University in Ohio as my undergrad, and I went on and to study vocal performance at Indiana University. And then I left IU and went out and performed for a number of years, got my equity card, and eventually came back to this area because I'm from this area in Ohio, and was offered a position here at Ohio Northern University. And I've served in many capacities. Actually, I currently am a voice teacher primarily, and I do direct a lot of the musical theater productions here. I teach a variety of courses in music and assist with the senior capstone experience with musical theater program. I've served in the past as the director of the musical theater program from, I believe, about 2012 to 2020 or 19, somewhere around there. And then I became the assistant director of the School of Visual and Performing Arts, which is where theater is housed, and musical theater, for a term. And now I'm back doing what I love the best, which is teaching voice and directing my students, both musical theater and music students.
And you also are part of the recruitment team as well.
Absolutely. I do a lot of the recruiting for actually both programs, but I travel a lot. We go to the New York Unifieds, Chicago Unifieds, the Moonifieds. We're all over the place. And obviously now the virtual component of auditions where we're watching people with Cap United, Pittsburgh Unified, you name it. We're all over the place, either virtually or in person. And of course we have on-site auditions as well. Yeah.
Great. We'll chat more about auditions later.
Sure.
But you might be the face that students are seeing during their auditions.
They will be. Yes, I will be.
Perfect.
Yes.
So if you've listened to other episodes of the podcast, we like to ask our guests to give us their elevator speech, their elevator pitch, 60 seconds or less, to sum up their program.
Oh.
I'm not timing you.
Okay, good.
But we just want to hear a short overview, and then we'll ask more specific questions. So here's your elevator pitch. Go.
Bam. Okay. Well, the BFA program, musical theater program, degree program, offers a 4-year sequence of courses in acting, voice, music, and dance. And the musical theater majors, they will take courses in music theory, keyboard, acting, voice and movement, musical theater scene study and audition techniques, private voice study, and extensive training in jazz, tap, modern, ballet, and then, of course, musical theater dance, which is so important. The coursework is augmented with a really wide variety of public performances, and the musical theater majors audition for all main stage productions and studio theater productions, not just the musicals. And let's see, there 11 seconds. Okay, and the senior year is highlighted by our senior showcase, which is produced in New York or Chicago for agents and casting directors. However, this year we're bringing them here because of COVID. So the goal of the program, if I were to sum it all up, is really to cultivate those working artists with the practical knowledge and competence that includes sensitivity to the technique, the artistry, and the style, as well as the insight into the larger role of theater arts. So there are many things that make our program unique, you know.
Well done.
Okay.
Well done.
All right. I don't know that you timed me perfectly or not, but go ahead.
I wasn't timing you at all. That's
great.
Fine. But we're going to go back and touch on all those points in
sure.
detail here in just a second. But let's start. Imagine that we are looking at the schedule of an incoming freshman BFA musical theater student. What does their schedule look like? And then sort of give us an overview of their training throughout all 4 years. Okay.
Well, the first year they're going to take their applied lessons, their voice lesson. They will be in a piano class specifically for musical theater majors. That's their first year. They're going to have to take 2 semesters of that, of piano. Theory and ear training for the musical theater major, specifically for them. You're not going to be thrown into a theory class with music majors. It's specific to musical theater majors, and that's 2 semesters, the fall and spring. And then, of course, dance. They're going to have to start in one of the beginning levels of dance, ballet, jazz, tap, modern, whatever. Usually it's ballet, their first semester, and then their second semester they merge into tap or jazz, usually. They also have to take a play analysis their first semester, to understand the text and how to break down the text, to understand how to break down the play and the characters. And then, let's see, what else? Obviously, their general education courses that they are involved in, they will have to take. So they'll bring and we are a liberal arts school, and I would say that our students, it's conservatory style training with a liberal arts environment. So they're going to have to take their general education requirements, which are English, communications, and things like that. So that's typically the first year. Acting. Well, I didn't even say acting. Of course, they have to be in an acting class their first semester as well. So, and then it goes on from there. It builds upon the curriculum from there. So their second year, then they go into the advanced dance classes, the advanced scene study classes, acting classes. Voice and movement is also taught for second semester, the first year, but then they advance into voice and movement to their second year as well. So that's kind of a nutshell. And I mean, again, they're also required and encouraged to take classes outside of the performing arts realm. I really think that's important. And just so you're aware, too, that Ohio Northern University really, we get a lot of students that are very curious about the world beyond just musical theater. So a lot of them want to study abroad for either a full semester or during the summer, and that's usually in their junior year. It's really our belief that an actor with a really diverse set of knowledge and skills is a more successful performer anyway. So Ohio Northern really, really encourages them to just think outside the box. And so, to that effect, in addition to their core musical theater curriculum. Our majors, like I said, take private voice for 4 years, acting classes, dance classes, as well as a wealth of supporting classes in more specific performances areas. And they're required to audition for plays, musicals, and dance productions. So, yeah.
Great. So if a student is a student allowed to level up in dance classes?
Absolutely.
Or do they all start at the same level?
The freshman year, we've made exceptions. Okay, if they come in, we don't have a BFA in dance, but we do have a dance minor program. Sometimes the students coming in are really skilled dancers and as musical theater performers. So we do assess that in the audition for the program, and it's marked if their skill level is more advanced than Ballet 1. Of course, we're going to move them to a Ballet 2 course their first year. But most of the time, they're in the level 1 classes their first semester.
And what about things like music theory and keyboarding?
Same. Well, here's what I do. Music theory, no. I make them take it. And the reason I do, because also music theory, there's ear training. And you always need to be rehearsing or practicing your training. That first semester, it's really important, I think, just to make sure, even if they've had theory before, they're still going to, I think, improve their sight singing skills. And they'll probably learn something that they didn't learn in high school. So yes, they do. The second semester of music theory is really important because they really then break down into and look at specific shows. For example, let's say we've been working on Rodgers and Hammerstein, analyzing a piece, the chord structure. Well, it's applicable because then, okay, we're going to sing it. We're going to sing Although the Farmer and the Cowman Should Be Friends. Let's talk about that from a theoretical standpoint, from a sight singing standpoint. And then, same thing, they go into it with a Sondheim. So second semester is really helpful because they apply the skills that they've learned in the first semester to the second semester as far as actually doing it. The other thing, piano, you ask about that. Piano, again, we have a musical theater piano class, but there have been students that have come in with, like dance, a skill set that, let's say they can play, Rachmaninoff's, piano concerto. Oh, well, of course, I'm going to put them in with a private teacher. Absolutely. But they need to be in piano while they're in theory and ear training for that first year, no matter what. Right. Because that's, you're applying those skills, the keyboard skills, to what you're learning as far as theory and ear training. And you as a musician know that. You know that.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you encourage students to study things outside of theater, which I love to hear that as well. Can you tell us, sometimes in musical theater programs, you can minor or you can double major, but you may kill yourself doing it. What does it look like at Ohio Northern if a student wanted to add a minor or a double major?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. For example, most of our students, I would say the vast majority of our students either have a minor, if not two minors, or they're a double major. Or I've had in the past a dual degree. Now let me explain that. So we have the freestanding dance minor. Most of your musical theater majors end up doing that anyway. It's so easy to do. There's only 2 additional courses that you have to take. Really is dance history, and then I believe a dance composition course, where they have to actually compose a piece physically, mount a piece. So that's an easy one to get with the musical theater program. A lot of them do the arts administration minor. We have an arts and admin minor, which has some business classes attached to that, as well as, specifically for the arts, which is fantastic. Many of our students do that. But I also have, like I said, a vast majority of them do a double major, a secondary academic degree program. In other words, they're going to get a BFA in musical theater and also another major, like communications, let's say that, communications, PR, Spanish, English, psychology actually is a big popular one for us. That means, they don't have to do the general education requirements for that particular degree, the other degree program, just follow ours, but they get the major requirements. So that's a secondary academic degree program or double major. Some, very few, of our students actually get a dual degree where they walk twice in graduation. They walk for their BFA or they walk for their communications degree. So that means they're going to have to satisfy the general education requirements for both degree programs. We have students that have done pre-law, or like I said, psychology. I have math majors, believe it or not. Most of the popular one is actually communications in the communication studies area. So
math, no thank you.
And me
Wow.
either. Theory was enough for me.
But they always say that musicians are supposed to be really good at math or really enjoy math, and that just was not me.
Oh, me either. But I can subdivide anything, and I'm at a musical page, but, give me, I don't know, fractions, yuck. So.
Yeah. So let's chat through the performance opportunities. If you
Sure.
can talk about main stage and
Sure.
as well as any student-led productions or anything like that.
Yeah, sure. So all musical theater students, like I said, audition for the main stage and studio performances. So they're plays, musicals, and dance productions, and beginning fall semester of their freshman year. So they are able to be cast in shows. So our production season is typically between 7 and 8 productions a year. 3 of them are musicals, 2 are plays, and then typically 2 dance productions. And additional performance opportunities include the International Play Festival, which I'll talk about in a second. Student-directed one-acts. We have improvisational troupe called the Fearless Shenanigans, which is really popular with our theater students.
I saw that on your website.
Yes. And then, of course, they have student-led productions. So we have a director's lab where they can pitch an idea to the faculty and come up with basically a proposal and say, hey, we really like to do Jesus Christ Superstar in the chapel, spring semester, student-led production. So we encourage that. It's a very hefty season, and I can give you an example of what we've done this year if I can remember. Sorry, we did Beauty and the Beast this fall. And that was a huge production, all-in production. Everybody was involved in it. It was fantastic. We did not do a play this fall because of that. It's Ohio Northern University's sesquicentennial year, and so we were charged by the university to come up with something that has an alumni connection or something that we've done before or something would be family friendly. So which is why we did Beauty and the Beast. Poured all our efforts in that. We brought back an alum to direct that, which was fantastic, to choreograph and direct it. Matt Simpkins, he's phenomenal. And then we always do the Holiday Spectacular, which is in its 27th, would have been its 27th year, but it is its 27th year, but we were, because of COVID, the year before we didn't do it. So it is basically a musical review that has a little story around it, and we not only do it here on campus for a weekend, but we take it to about 30 miles away to Lima City Convention Center, which seats about, I want to say, 1,500 to 1,600 people. Pack the place on a weekend. We take, our students. We take the semi truck. It's like a bus and truck tour show. You take it there, so they learn how to remount a production in another space in one day, and we do that and we perform it there. That's typically the 2 musicals in the fall, and then usually there's a play in there, but we didn't have one this year. And a dance, usually have a dance production. This year, I'm trying to find, I think have Inlet coming. I believe it's Inlet Dance Company. I'm trying to find the name. I wrote it down. But anyway, we're also doing A Doll's House. Ibsen's A Doll's House this year in winter. And then our spring musical is 42nd Street. Again, another crowd pleaser. It was the first first musical that was mounted here at the Freed Center for the Performing Arts almost 30 years ago. So that's kind of the sesquicentennial feel of something familiar. And then we have one of our alums actually choreographing that as well. So, that's our season.
That's wonderful. As long as we are in the vein of performing, let's chat about that senior showcase that you mentioned.
Sure.
Earlier. Looks a little different this year.
Yes.
But let's pretend it's a normal year. What does that look like?
Well, a normal year, we've done many things. We've done the full gamut. We've gone to Chicago. We've gone to New York. We've invited guests here before, even not only this typical like this year because of COVID, but a normal year would be. We really found the Chicago market to be great as well. So we kind of rotate between Chicago and New York and take our students to either venue and perform there before casting directors and some agents. We find that going there has been great, but I always like to add another component to it where they actually sit down and meet with the agents and casting directors and talk to them individually to get some immediate feedback, because you know as well as I do the showcase market is so saturated, and most of the time you go there and students perform and that's it. They headshot and resume at the door. So we like to add another component to that, which sometimes we have a workshop with the casting directors and agents, a couple of them, and just so our students feel like they're getting something out of it. It's not just being discovered, because we all know that's not going to happen right away. But what can they learn from that? Let's look at your headshot. Let's look at your resume. What's working? What's not working? I don't like this number because this is what I see from you. It's very educational as well. So this year we're having a casting director and an agent from New York and a casting director and an agent from Chicago come in for a weekend. And not only will they see the showcase, but they will work with our students one-on-one, looking at the rep books, looking at, let me hear a monologue, let me see another song. So I think it's very beneficial. It's an educational experience as well.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I have never personally been to Ohio Northern, one of the schools on my list that I definitely want to visit, and it is in Ada, Ohio. Is that correct?
Oh, you betcha. And do you know what we're famous for?
No, I don't.
We are the home of the Wilson Football Factory, where we produce all the NFL balls and all the collegiate balls. Yes.
Feather in the cap of
on the map
program.
Yeah. No, so we're located Ada is about about 69 70 miles southwest of Toledo and 70 miles north west of Columbus, 3 hours some south of Cleveland, and about 3 hours north of Cincinnati. So we're a village. The village of Ada offers students, and I always say this, a peaceful and safe place to focus on their craft and education. There's no distractions here. We are the cultural mecca, the cultural center of this area, and the university is actually the cultural hub of the village and surrounding areas as well. So we're known for our theater. Our students can focus on their craft. We're always busy. I'll go into that later, because one of our key high points of this program is our guest artist program. We always have something going on every weekend here, just about every weekend, whether it's a guest artist or a production, master classes going on. People in Inlet Dance Company, for example, is going to be in residence this year with our students. There's always something going on. So the students are never bored. And if they are, they're in the Fearless Shenanigans performing or doing some sort of project on their own. So
I've just Googled Ada, Ohio.
Oh, yes.
Settled in 1853. It looks like a postcard.
It is. It's beautiful. It's very quaint. And I don't want to say this. I tell the students, lock your doors. But it's very safe. It's very safe here. And, parents feel comfortable about leaving their children here, young adults here. And, campus is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, within walking distance, although the students like to drive their car from one end of the campus to the other and park in my parking lot, but that's okay. But, anyway. But
so if students are looking at Ohio Northern University, they will see that it is United Methodist affiliated. University.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's any sort of religious affiliation listed with the school, I just went through this with Southern Methodist University and asked them the same question. We just like to clarify to the students who may not be Methodist or may not be Christian what their experience would be like there. Is there any sort of religion-centered education?
No. I mean, well, we have a chapel, and the chaplain has welcomes all religions. I mean, there's a service on Thursdays at 11 every week, but that's a range, a variety of topics. So he gets up and talks, and so I don't want to make. They are not required to go to chapel. They're not required to participate if they don't want to, but the students the chapel life here is really busy. But so is the LGBT community, and they embrace that as well. So I don't want to paint a bad picture or anything of that. We're open arms to all religions, all genders, It's a very diverse campus, I would say.
Wonderful to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So you did just mention the guest artist as one of the highlights of the program.
Yeah.
So let's go through. Tell us some of the other highlights that we may not have touched on before we get to the audition.
Well, I think that the highlights of our program is what sets us apart from other programs. The highlights of our program, the guest artist program, really sets us apart from other programs. And the reason I say that, it kind of goes back to where we are. We are located in the northwest corner of Ohio. So how do I attract students here? How do I get them that experience of feeling like they have a city feel, that they're not out in the middle of nowhere? What is there to do? So one of the things we've established, we have a very generous, I would say, endowment that provides the opportunities for our students to work with industry professionals here. So we bring people from the cities. We bring from New York. We bring them from abroad, from England, wherever, LA, Chicago, Australia. We bring in between 30 and 40 guest artists per year to work with our students. So our guest artist program, I would say, is the highlight. And so when we bring these 30 to 40 guest artists to campus per year, multiply that. If you multiply, we're exposing them to be between 120 and 160 contacts during their 4 years here, if you add it up. So they work with our students. Not only they're in residence, they may be in residence for the weekend. They may be here for 2 weeks. They may be here for 5 weeks directing. So this can range from directors, choreographers, composers, music directors, agents, playwrights. We bring, for the International Theater Festival, we commission a work to be done from another country. Pick a country like Cuba. We'll bring in a director from that area to work with the playwright, the new work. We also bring in casting directors, I said, designers. My designer for my assistant lighting design, or my lighting designer for Pirates of Penzance a few years ago that I directed. I did a really cool version of that, a very musical theater version of Pirates, was the assistant lighting director for Hamilton on Broadway. So I had beautiful light. So we just have these industry professionals in residence. I've had Joe Iconis here for a weekend, who did, he came in and students had to write a paper on why they should be chosen to be selected to be in his show. And so then we weeded that down to about 10 kids, and then they had to audition for Joe. And John Simpkins came with him. John, I don't know if you know John. He runs the Penn State program. John's a good friend of mine. And John directed it for us and with Joe. And they picked the works for the students, the pieces that to be performed on a Friday night, worked with them all day Saturday, and they performed it on Sunday with Joe playing. So he was here for 3 days. That's an example. I've had John Bucchino here. John has been in residence. Yeah, we did a performance of his songs, and he played the piano. for the students. And then we, who else have I had? Andrew Lippa was here. We did a wild party 2 years ago, I can't remember, in the studio theater. And I found out, I was like, oh, Andrew, somebody told me, Andrew's here in Columbus, Ohio during about 6 months out of the year. So I reached out to him as, hey, we're doing your wild party. How would you like to come and do a masterclass for our students and see the show? He did. He came and he worked with the students and then watched the show and talked to them afterwards.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to find some. We've had Vicki Clark here for a weekend. I've had Faith Prince here. Gavin Creel is just down. He grew up in Findlay, Ohio, which is 25 miles from here. And Gavin has come back a couple times. He was just here 2019, actually. Came in and gave a master class. He's a wonderful young man. Yep, young man in my mind. And I've known Gavin for a long time when he was a kid. But so he comes back and he works with the students and is very gracious with his time. So he was here for a one day. So that's an example. You know, we go one day to weekend. I'll have a director, Jen Werner, who is the director, choreographer, associate director for Book of Mormon, was here, directed a beautiful production of Oklahoma years back. So that gives you an example. Designers, choreographers.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. That list of guest artists rivals some of the major universities, the big guys. That's incredible.
And what I like about it is the students eat lunch with them at the cafeteria, or they're integrated into the campus. I mean, they're part of the fabric of this place, and the students love them. And it's been great. I don't know if you know Sean McKnight. Sean is now a casting director for Hybrid, but he was a freelance choreographer director. He's come here several times. He works with our kids. He's been a cheerleader for our program. In fact, one of my grads, who's on the Mean Girls tour right now, Broadway tour, Sean, because he had directed her in a production, I can't remember what we did. I can't even remember what show it was, but he directed her in a show. He said, hey, I love Mary Beth. Tell her to look me up when she's in New York. And she did. So he's helped her. He's now her agent. You know, so this is what comes out of that, I think. You know.
That's really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears now and chat about the audition process.
Sure.
So you mentioned some of the places other than on campus where you are doing auditions, as well as virtual this year, of course. This episode will probably go out just after the Unifieds conclude this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go back to speaking as though it's a normal year and just hope for the best for next year, I suppose.
I know, it's crazy, right?
But let's just start with the basics. Do you pre-screen?
No, not right now. We don't. We haven't. Not yet.
Okay.
We keep getting pressure to think about that. I'm old-fashioned.
Okay. Well,
I want to see everyone. I really do.
Well, I think a lot is shown in the audition room and the way they interact with an accompanist or just. I tell my students all the time that your talent gets your foot in the door, but your personality is what gets you accepted.
Bingo.
And that is not always easy for students to do on camera, and it doesn't always show through on pre-screen. So I get that. But on the other side of that, how many auditions or how many applicants do you get every year? Well,
that's a big question. So we get about 500 applicants a year. How many actually audition? I would say 450, 430. And how many?
Still a lot.
Yeah. Now, when I say that, I mean, I'll see, we'll go to the, Cap United, we'll go to all these different audition places where you see a lot of students, but whether or not they follow through with the actual application, and apply to the university, we see about that many, 500. Out of that, I'd probably say about 350 actually apply. Okay, so how many? You're going to ask me how many we admit, because
what is your target for an incoming?
My target is between 10 to 14 students per year, and because think about it, we're a small BFA program, and I want to give those students that one-on-one experience here. I want them to be able to be cast. I'm not about casting 40 to 50 kids in a program. That's craziness. I don't have opportunities for them. I want them to have opportunities to perform, all right, when they're here. So basically, if you add that up, let's say we take 10, if I have 10 in each class, which I don't, it varies. Sometimes I've taken 16 in the class. The highest one I ever took was 21, and that was probably a little too many. But so, yeah, we tend to go between 10 and 14. Last year's class with COVID was 8, so it was a low year for us. So this year I'm looking for probably a little bit more, all right, so as a result, because like I said, because we keep our numbers down, we were able to provide that highly personalized training, I think. And so we have roughly between, I'd say 40, on a given good year, 40 to 50, 56 maybe MT students, plus you have your BAs, which are theater students that are strictly there. It's a very flexible program. They can kind of cater it to playwriting, to whatever they want to do. And then the international theater production, which is basically our tech theater, which, so we have around, I would say, 66 to 68 students total in the program. That's including BAs and theater production students. So it's a small department, and I want to keep it that way.
Since you just brought up the BAs, let's veer off from auditions for a moment, and I'll ask this: is this a situation where a student is admitted to the university and then to the program?
Yes.
Into the BFA. So if they do not make it into the BFA program, can they redirect and take the BA theater?
Absolutely.
At the school.
Absolutely.
And if they do that, are there opportunities for them to tailor that BA to include some musical theater?
Yes. Yes, actually. In fact, I am taking a voice student this semester who's a theater major, who came in as theater last year, did not make it into the musical theater program. Wonderful actor, just not the greatest singer. Has really, really excelled in the last year. And he's taking voice lessons this semester with me. Mm-hmm. He's taken a dance class, the basic level dance class, and he's going to take the musical theater history course, which is open to anyone. Musical theater history course, in addition to his world theater history course. Yes, that's possible, and they're able to be cast in the musicals because this young man has been.
Oh, that's great.
And so I think the BA is a great program because the BA, I like that a lot because you can take a wide range of subjects, topics. You can veer off, and a lot of them want to be writers or directors. So there's directing, there's playwriting, there's some BAs who actually are, even my music major BAs, will also do a dual with BA in theater, and they're actually become either composers for musical theater. So it's a nice mixture, a nice cocktail. So the BA programs in both areas, music and theater, really you can kind of carve your own niche.
That's really great to hear. Mm-hmm. I like identifying the programs where that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes my students are asking that. Mm-hmm. Ohio Northern is what I would put in the target category as far as acceptance rates, if we're making lists for the students. But sometimes those targets can become safeties as well, because as long as you are accepted to the school, you can then do the BA. And it's not all that frequent that a college will allow you to tailor a BA into a musical theater BA. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I learned something today, so thank you so much for that.
Sure.
Let's chat one last thing about auditions before we wrap up.
Sure.
What is it that you're looking for? How can a student stand out?
You're
watching auditions?
I'm always looking, personally, I'll say we, because I'm pretty confident that most everyone else feels the same way. We're looking for those artists that can really embrace the craft of storytelling, right? In all its forms, they're not just at the pursuits of their careers. I'm looking for people that are courageous. I'm looking for students that are really curious about not only theater and musical theater, but about other topics, and who are inspired and are committed to the process of learning, really. I want to learn more. And I also think it's really important. I'm looking for students that are looking to be of service through their art form, and developing their own voice, their own unique path, their own unique voice, I guess, as an artist. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, I want students that are interested in other things and life and globally, and not only just that narrow vision of musical theater or theater. I think it's important, but I think just diverse in how they look at the world. I don't know if that's helped you at all.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
No, that's great. And I think that most of the students and parents that are listening to this podcast usually want to hear tips and tricks for auditioning for that specific program. So that's really good information for them to have.
And and the thing, the students will say to me, they'll ask me, what can you? That seemed to be the question the parents ask and students ask these days. Perspectives. They're like, what are you looking for? What can you do for us? I always tell them. I just say I'm looking. I'm here to give you the tools to become creative and well-rounded artists, to be a curious, courageous person. But it's your job as a student to work with those tools that you're given and the educational experiences that you're given here, to be open to the things that challenge you, right? And then along the way, these students, they eventually discover what tools click for them and work for them. And so there's no pathway, there's no, somebody says, well, how do I become this? Well, there's no direct way. Your way is unique and specific, right? There's no magical formula to become a triple threat. I'm sorry. I don't pretend that our program gives you this how-to guide. We or the exact steps that are going to lead you to Broadway. But I feel that our students will leave Ohio Northern University with a big toolbox full of rich experiences and personal skills that are going to help aid in their journey as an artist and as a compassionate, that's important to me, a compassionate global citizen. That's really important to me too.
Well, that's wonderful. If students or parents want to get any more information about Ohio Northern University, how can they get in touch?
Well, they can get in touch with us by going to our website, www.onu.edu, and it'll give you a menu of scrolling down to find the musical theater program or theater program. It'll you click on that little icon, it'll take you right to our website, or the specific website for the Department of Theater Arts. And if they're interested in auditioning for us, it's also on that website, that link. And you have to fill out an audition form where you want to audition, whether you want to audition for us in Chicago or New York, which is upcoming, or on site. And we also, you can find us on Get Accepted as well, which there's also a link on our website to that, so they could just do a virtual audition as well. We would love to see you in any way you can, and I'll be there.
Well, I certainly look forward to seeing you in Chicago. I'll be there with my students.
Wonderful. Stop up and see me.
I absolutely will stop up and say hello to you. And we look forward to chatting with you more about possibly joining us for our auditions called the Florida Combines in Tampa, which will happen next January as well, and maybe even some workshops and things here in the near future.
That'd be fabulous, Tim. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
For more information on the exciting training, workshops, and masterclasses offered by The College Audition, please visit us online at www.thecollegeaudition.com or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.